guys are ridiculous. These guys are ridiculous.
Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another episode of the How About Them Celtics podcast. Sam and I are here recording on Thursday, September 29th. Here to talk a little bit about training camp, what's going on so far in the first couple days, but then the bulk of the episode, we're going to do our NBA standings predictions like we do every season. I think we should have reflected on our standings predictions from last year, but we forgot to do that.
I was thinking about that today.
Smart.
I was like, we do this, and I'm always like, if you listen to us do these last year, I'm like, oh, well, I don't know. Like, I'm like trying to cover my ass so much as if anyone's going to remember what we're saying. Like,
Yeah.
we don't remember. We don't go over it. The only thing that out of last year that I said that was consistently brought up was that I thought they would win the first 8 games, and I stand by that they should have, but they didn't.
Yeah.
And they started off really bad.
I remember my big L was I had the Lakers up there, and that obviously flopped. But
I said absolutely not. I said, listen, the Warriors are going to be on the top. I remember that.
I know you
said
did.
The Warriors will be a good team.
I know you did, and I'm not going to take full blame for the Lakers because that wasn't like something that I guessed that no one else did. That was a very common consensus, and I got it wrong. But it is what it is. We're gonna move into training camp. Training camp, first sound bites coming out of the Celtics who are back in the gym. The first thing I guess we can touch on is I guess a more Twitter viral thing that's going on, and maybe not necessarily going to come into play, but Luke Cornett was practicing with the starters, Sam. I don't know if you saw that.
I did.
Did you see what Joe Mazzulla said about it?
No, I didn't see that.
So, good friend of the podcast, Bobby Manning, actually asked him in a media scrum. And Mazzulla said, that was our identity last year. We were trying to play big. And like I said before, we're trying to figure out our identity on the defensive end, and keeping it as consistent as we can is important. So I definitely think it's something. So he didn't exactly say like, no, that's just for consistency's sake. I feel like there's a chance we see Luke Cornett start for the Celtics. And like we talked about with Hauser last week, I don't necessarily think that's the end of the world. And I was looking through some comments in the Celtics blog comments saying like this could be just he comes in, plays 5 minutes, then plays 15 minutes for the whole game, save some guys for the end of the game, which I think is smart. What do you think of the whole Luke Cornett starting angle storyline?
Well, we kind of touched on this stuff last time, right? Like, who's going to step into the starting lineup with Rob out? And I have not been somebody to put a whole lot of emphasis on who starts, just because I don't care. I care who's out there at the end of the game. And you're probably going to see at the end of the game, Marcus Smart, Brown, Tatum, Horford, and maybe Brogdon or Derek White, depending on the day. But as far as the starting lineup goes, fine, put Cornett out there. He's another big. I think the double bigs worked well last year. Horford is definitely somebody that benefits from having a second big man out there with him. You look at those teams in his first stint with the Celtics where he was playing with Baines, and he did a great job with Baines by his side.
Yeah.
Cornett is no Baines, but he's, better than, I don't know, having Brogdon out there per se, right? I didn't want to say Grant Williams. I didn't want to get you upset because you believe in him. I don't necessarily disbelieve in him, but I do think it would be good to keep him on the bench, keep him in the bench role.
Yeah.
Because especially in the playoffs last year, he excelled when he was on the bench. He was not great as a starter. I think throughout the season last year, we would talk about that often. Cornett's fine. He's fine.
Yeah.
He doesn't require too much of the ball. He's okay at protecting the rim. Not the best defender on the perimeter, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, I don't mind the double bigs. I think if he can stay in the paint and just kind of bang down low with some of those big guys, it should be fine. And like I said, I don't think he'll play like 20 minutes, 30 minutes as a starter. I think it's something where he plays the first 5, ends up playing 15, maybe 20 if they need him to, on any given game for the Celtics. But I just thought that was funny. And hearing Joe Mazzulla speak about it so candidly means it might actually happen. So prepare to see Luke Cornett on the floor at the start of preseason or the regular season. It's a possibility at the very least. The next quote, Malcolm Brogdon's been getting a lot of love out of training camp. People talking about how great he is as a leader. Grant Williams tweeting about him just being, his voice is getting a lot of love. He sounds like a politician almost. He sounds very professional. It's a good microphone voice, I think is the description I've heard for it. But he talked about wanting to win. He's been saying that throughout media day and training camp. And he said this is the best team he's ever been on, comparing it to the 2018 Bucks. But this time said these stars are further along and more ready to lead and be stars at this point. Not taking a shot at Giannis, but just comparing this Celtics team to the teams he's been on in the past. And for those who don't remember, Malcolm Brogdon was a part of, excuse me, some very talented Milwaukee Bucks teams. Was on both ends of the stick when it came to facing the Celtics in the playoffs. The 2018 Bucks lost to the Celtics in the first round. He was a part of that team. And the 2019 Bucks beat the Celtics up in 5 games, took down the Kyrie-led Celtics in that fateful series where Kyrie said, I'm going to keep shooting. So Brogdon's been experienced in beating and losing to the Celtics in the playoffs, and now he'll be hoping to help the Celtics win. But he said this is the best team he's ever been a part of. What do you make of that?
Well, it should be. This is a team that's set up to win, and he's a part of that. He talked a little bit about when they brought him in, how it went, and he had a few different teams he could pick from, didn't name names, but the Celtics obviously were one. And Brad called him and he said, hey, you're going to have to come off the bench if you come here. We have our guys. We like them. We don't want to mess with the chemistry. And he said, okay, I want to win. He said he's made his money. He wants to win now. And those Milwaukee teams he was on were no slouch, good teams. Took the Celtics 7 games in 2018, obviously beat them the year later. In a series, I still can't believe the Celtics lost, but we've talked about that before. No need to jump back into it.
Plenty of times.
Yeah. It's great to have Brogdon. This is a good team. If they're healthy,
team.
they're a really good team.
Yeah.
And once Rob comes back, they're going to be really good, despite losing Gallinari. The problem is the depth with the big man position. You're going to have to keep your eyes on that throughout the season. What are they going to do to help those two guys out? You know, you don't want them having to have a massive workload throughout the season after just playing deep into June.
For sure. It's unfortunate that the Celtics struggled with depth last year. They went to fix it, and then half of the depth they signed just kind of got cut in terms of Gallinari entering for the entirety of the season. We're probably not going to see him in a Celtics uniform this year, which is unfortunate. Maybe he'll come back next year. He's going to pick up that player option because he'd be a fool not to, because he's coming off an ACL tear. But whether or not the Celtics trade him or he moves on somewhere else is yet to be seen. But the last thing coming out of training camp before we do get into our standings predictions is these one-on-ones with Jason and Jaylen Brown. You've heard Jaylen Brown talk about it. There's not much content for us to discuss, really. It's just fun to see them going at it. And I saw a tweet, though, that I thought was funny I wanted to bring up. And it basically said, wow, now imagine how good they'd be if they actually liked each other. Poking fun at the whole narrative that they don't like each other. Because
that's why the 1v1s are so competitive.
Right, yeah.
Because they just hate each other. And whoever loses goes home and they're like, the other guy, and he's like punching his pillow.
Shake their fists. Yeah. I thought it was funny. Because we're still going to hear about it, which is the funny part. Even after them reaching the NBA Finals together, even after you see these videos of them laughing and smiling as they play one-on-one, you're still going to hear the narrative that they don't like each other. They're competing with each other. People are going to paint it as Kobe and Shaq, but we haven't seen anything to prove that narrative. So, glad to see them battling out one-on-one. It's fun to watch at the very least, them compete against each other. But it's been a good training camp so far. I'm excited for the regular season. It's getting me amped up again for the preseason after a few weeks of drama to end the summer.
Preseason's sneaking up on us.
It is. It's Sunday.
You'll hear this Friday. Today's Thursday. It's in 2 days. They play Sunday at 1 p.m. And, just in time for the Celtics season to kick off, Mac Jones has hurt himself. So what else are you going to be watching but Celtics preseason? I don't know. If you want to watch the Patriots, watch the Patriots, because we don't want to hear you.
Do they play at 1 on Sunday?
I don't know. I don't know. The Celtics do.
Asking about the Patriots.
Oh, I don't
care. Patriots play. I know, but I'm just seeing at the same time.
The problem with the Patriots is if they're bad this year, you're gonna have all these people that only watch the Patriots come in, and they're going to be talking about the Celtics this year. You better be careful on Twitter. You're gonna see a lot of dummies, a lot of them.
Hey, Patriots play at 4 though, so you have even if you are a Pats fan, you have no excuse not to watch the Celtics first preseason.
I bet you that's why it's at 1.
Probably to break it up, but it works for me. I'll be in Ireland, so that's what is it? 7 p.m., 5 p.m. game, 6 p.m.
Some evening action, Jack. It's
not
like normal.
Hey, it's better than me having to stay up till 3 a.m. to watch the game.
Now, will you be in for pregame? Is that the plan?
Potentially. It depends on what I'm doing. Okay. If I'm at the hotel, I'll be there. If not, then I won't be.
I will be there for pregame. I will be live from the booth at ABC 6.
Love to see it. I'll let you know.
I
should be there, but We'll see. It's probably I'll give you a 50-50 for now, and it'll probably improve as I figure things out. I'm focused on my flight right now. I'm terrified of flying, and I know you're going to tell me the same thing because
Jack
your
is
mom's a
not a
flight
fan of
attendant, but
flying.
I
Now,
can't
do you
do
have
it.
a routine when you board the plane, Jack, to calm yourself down?
No, my routine is just as soon as I get on the plane, put my headphones on, turn my iPad on, watch YouTube videos so I get distracted and don't think about the fact that I'm going to be thousands of feet in the
That's
air.
all you do? Do they have stuff on the plane for you to watch? Movies?
No,
You're not a
no,
movie guy.
no videos. I don't think there's any TVs. No,
Okay.
there is. Um, yeah, there's like TV shows and stuff, but I just download like YouTube videos and like Hulu and stuff, Netflix on my iPad to watch. So that'll probably
Jack,
be
who
what
can
I'm
watch
doing.
tons and tons of basketball but cannot watch a movie.
I can't do the movie. I like movies when I watch them, but the thought of sitting down for 2 hours to watch something I don't like because I have ADHD undiagnosed. So
I'm starting to see
can't
that
do
with
it.
myself, but not so much with like getting distracted. It's just I fall asleep. I'm like getting old, dude. I'm gonna be
That's
24 in a month.
narcolepsy. That's not ADHD.
Not narcolepsy. I didn't say it was ADHD. It's called Sam works at 4 in the morning.
That's fair. Yeah, you need the naps.
I go and I sit down and I put something on and I knock right out. It's nice when you need to get to sleep. Don't get me wrong. You put the
Yeah,
iPad
yeah.
out, put it on the pillow next to you, and you're out. No problems.
Lucky you, I can't sleep, so it is it is what it is. Another piece of Celtics news that we missed. Excuse me. The Celtics asked for permission. I have the hiccups to interview Clippers assistant, former Celtics assistant for 7 years, Jay Larranaga, who turned them down. I don't know if you heard the update, but
Yeah.
he said no. He wants to stay in LA, which is fine.
Cool.
Steve Bulpett tweeting out just now, I believe, 6 minutes ago, with Jay Larranaga reportedly turning down an opportunity to return to the Celtics coaching staff. A number of very good candidates remain. One I might seek permission to talk to is Maine native Brett Brown, who played at BU and is now
Ooh,
assistant
Brett
coach on the
Brown.
Spurs. I've heard that name. You've heard it floated around some places. What would you think if Mr. Brett Brown came to the Celtics to be an assistant?
I'd say, oh boy, they're not going to be very good this year. No, I mean, if he's not the head coach, how much is he
Yeah,
really going to be doing? But in all seriousness, Brett Brown with the Sixers was a scapegoat.
I think he gets a little too much slack. Yeah, or
Well, that's what
flack
I
is the
mean. He
right
was
word.
definitely
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
scapegoat. The team had enough issues, but I mean, I loved making fun of Brett Brown as much as the next guy.
I
So
did too.
if he comes here, I'm going to have quite the pickle that I'm in, where I have to decide.
Hey,
Especially if he ended up becoming the head coach, because that's what the hypothesis started to become with Larinaga, is that they were
yeah,
bringing him back as a potential head coach after this season. And more people beginning to think that Ime Udoka will not be coaching the Celtics ever again. Unfortunate. We don't know all the stuff yet. And Larinaga would be that guy, but it's not going to be him. So if it was Brett Brown, not
yeah.
what you want. Not from my point of view. No, thank you. If that's what you're bringing him in for, no,
Mhm.
please don't.
I mean, I don't mind having him on the staff and as an
I
assistant,
agree.
and if it's a case of okay, we're suspending Ime for a year so we can figure things out, get our ducks in the row. You look at Mazzulla, how he does. You look at Brown off the bench. You look at even guys like Ben Sullivan, Damon Stoudemire on the bench, and it's kind of just a free for all. Try out who's good head coach. Maybe that's what happens, and having that experience of Brett Brown at the very least to mentor some of these guys into being that head coach and helping shape them as a head coach. I'm fine with that. Like I said, I think it's a little too much flack in Philadelphia. I made fun of him as much as the next guy, like you said, but having him off the bench, I don't think is the end of the world. He's a pops guy, so why not? So was Ime. Bring him in as an assistant. I don't think it'd be the end of the world. But anyways, standings predictions. You want to get into that? Do that for the rest of the episode?
Yeah, why not? Right? We will have plenty of time. We enjoy doing this
We do. I do.
every season, and I'm sure we'll have some dumb things to discuss along the way.
Now, do you want to do East or West first? I'll start by asking you that.
We'll start with the West.
Okay. Do you want
That
to
way,
go?
that way I can finish strong, and I look
Do you
like I
have your
know what I'm
list?
talking about. Do I have
Do
a
you have a
list?
list?
I don't have
Yeah.
a list.
I have a list. I only have a list because I did it last night on my podcast, the Simone NBA show. So I went through my predictions last night. So I have them.
So you've
I
written
have
them
them fresh in my
down.
mind. I do. I do have my list
Well,
of
that's
15.
no. See, if I wrote them down, it would take the fun out of it because you have to hold my hand through the whole thing, saying, I'm like real confident. You're like, well, what about this team? I'm like, oh man, I forgot they exist.
That's fine. Do you want to start top to bottom or do you want to go 15-1?
Let's go top to bottom.
Okay. So Wes, do you want me to go first or do you want to go?
I'll go first.
Okay, who's your 1 seed in the West?
I think it'll be Golden State. I think they are
Okay.
going to ride the wave. I think they've lost a few players over the summer, but they'll be fine. That's what they do. They
Okay.
should be fine to finish first.
See, I've got Denver.
You
That's
have
my
Denver.
1.
Really? You're really
Got
high on
Denver.
Denver, huh? They've got
I
guys
am.
coming back.
They do. They have Jokic, who's carried them to a
Mhm.
playoff spot for the past 2 seasons by himself. Jamal Murray's coming back, and last time we saw him was when he was dropping 50. The last memory we have, at least, of him in the bubble. So I think he'll be in all-star form again. It might take him some time, but there's that. Michael Porter Jr. is one of the best shooters in the NBA and an all-star potential talent. I think coming back. I loved the moves they made this summer. They got rid of Will Barton and Monte Morris, which is like, you might think if they brought back Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who is a winner, he's a starter, a great 3-and-D guy, and they brought your guy in, Bruce Brown, who I think is going to play a
Mhm.
good role for them in Denver. So
Brutal
really
miss.
like the moves they made. They have Ish Smith too to be their backup point guard, as if he hasn't played for enough teams. But I like the Nuggets as a regular season team. I don't know if it will translate to the playoffs. I don't know. We haven't seen this core compete in the playoffs together since the bubble, and they were very young then. But for a regular season team, they have the depth and the talent, in my opinion, to be that 1 seed. So that's why I got them there.
That's very
All right.
fair. And I think the regular
Mhm.
season point you made at the end is maybe the
Yeah.
cherry on top. I mean, I'm not going to change mine, but that team is absolutely primed to be a good regular season team. They have good pieces around Jokic, who MVP back-to-back seasons,
Yep. Back to
right?
back
Yeah,
seasons.
I know what I'm talking about. Don't worry about it.
All right. 2 seeds, Sam.
Mm. That's tough because my
Yeah.
instinct is to say Clippers because they've got a lot of talent on that team, but you haven't seen Kawhi play in like 2 years. You haven't
You haven't.
seen, you know, a lot. You haven't seen John Wall play. Like he's not going to
You
be that
haven't.
great.
Yeah. I think he'll be better than most people think. But anyways, what do you got? 2 seed. 2 seed in the West. Instinct. Let's do it.
I don't know. Why don't we say let's say Dallas.
Wow. That's crazy. Okay. You know I'm a big Dallas fan, but they fell in my standings this year. I'll tell you that.
All right. Well, I'm sure you'll make me look dumb, but
No.
that's a
Uh,
decent squad around Luca, right? Luca
they do have a
is
good team.
he might be ready to take it up to the next level and really be a force this year. And that's really the basis behind it. I think he's ready for a step up. You saw them
Yeah.
make a little bit of noise in the playoffs last year, got to the Western Conference Finals, didn't pass Golden State, obviously, but they said, hey, we're here. Luca's for real. And they've
Mhm.
got some decent players along with him on that team now.
They do.
Lost Brunson, but they'll be all right.
They do. I do have the Clippers at 2. You
Mm.
kind of said that earlier, but
I
I think
teased
they
it.
are another definition of a regular season team. Even if Kawhi only plays 50 to 60 games, even if PG only plays 50 to 60, I think the rest of that squad with Ty Lue is good enough to get them over the hump for the other however many 20 games that those guys don't play in. They brought in John Wall, which I do like the addition. I think it's solid, and I think he'll be a 15-7 guy. I don't think he'll be the 20-10 guy he once was, but I still think he can put up 15 points, 7 assists on a nightly basis, especially with probably the best team around him he's ever had, I would say, easily. Um, and then past that, you got Ivica Zubac. They lost Isaiah Hartenstein, which is tough because they don't really have a backup center. But Marcus Morris, Terrence Mann, Norm Powell, Robert Covington, Nick Batum, Reggie Jackson. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Deep.
They're one of the deepest teams. Luke Kennard, I didn't even say. They've got a phenomenal team. I think they'll dominate the regular season as long as Kawhi and PG can play those 50 to 60 games. So I got them at 2. But
Yeah, I
yeah.
got him slid in at 3, right?
Okay.
I was
Yeah.
teasing him. I was like, I think I want to put him at 2, but I'm not certain. I think they're good enough for 3, and I think you've really nailed it home with the amount of depth that they have. And if those guys have to miss games, they should be all right. I mean, it's crazy that they got Norm Powell last year for not a whole lot, brought in
Crazy.
Robert Covington for not a whole lot. These
Yeah.
guys are going to be impact players for them. Powell can score like crazy. Covington's a decent defender. They've got John Wall, who at the very least has something to prove. He's going to be
Yeah.
trying. He's like, listen, man, I've got my money. I want to win now. Very,
Yeah.
very interesting team to watch this year. A lot of people are high on him. Why not
Yep.
be?
You're making me actively change my predictions, by the way. You threw
Best
me off with the Mavericks at 2.
best team in the Los Angeles area. I will say
They are.
that.
Some say they're the best team in LA.
Which you really
Who's
don't
your
like to see. Usually you really, you want the Lakers to be good, but screw them.
who you got at 4? Who's your 4
Whoa,
seed?
whoa, 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 whoa! What did you
Oh,
put
my
Dallas
3
at
seed.
3?
No, I had the Warriors at 3.
All
And the
right.
only reason I don't have them higher is because they're not. I don't think they're a regular season team because I don't think they need to be anymore.
Yeah.
Like I think they'll rest Steph. I think they'll rest Clay. I think they'll rest Draymond when they need to. And I think they'll probably put together a similar regular season to the one they did last year. And then they'll be cruising for the playoffs, which is all they really care about. So that's why I had them at 3 instead of 2 or 1.
Yeah. See, you've got it more realistic where you're trying to predict the standings. Where I'm like, all right, I think this team's the best, this team's second
Yeah,
best, and
that's
so
fair.
on.
That's
Fourth, I'll
fair.
put Denver.
Okay.
I like the
Yeah.
team. They definitely have a lot of shooting around Jokic again, who's won back-to-back MVPs. They're no slouch, and they made it to the second. No, they didn't. They got beat up pretty bad by the Warriors in the first round last year. They didn't make it out. But
Yeah.
they've had tons of injuries. It's just there's a lot of variables for them, like the Clippers. How great's Murray going to be? How great's Porter Jr. going to be? Those two guys are going to be big X factors for them because you don't know much about what's going on with them. They haven't played basketball in a while, especially Murray.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's be 3 seasons ago now that he last played in. It's crazy.
I don't think so. I think he played some. That was the last full season he played. I have
Oh,
this
he
issue.
got hurt early on, and
I think so. I'm gonna double check it because it does feel like the bubble was the last time he played.
yeah,
Um, he didn't play all last season in 21-22, but he played 48 games in 2021,
okay,
2 seasons ago.
all
Which
right. So
I mean, we didn't really know.
season and a
And
half, still a
in
while.
those minutes, in those 50 games roughly he played, he averaged 21, 4, and 5 on 47% from the field, 41% from three. He's an all-star player. He's an all-star next to Jokic. So keep an eye on that. He's a good player, and I'm excited to see him back. And he's gonna be 25 coming into this year, so he's still super young.
Still
He's
young.
still in the prime of his career. Anyways, my number 4, I got the Grizzlies. I got John Morant and the Grizzlies. 2 seed last year. The only reason I have them falling to 4 is because the Clippers and Nuggets are both going to be better. I think the Warriors probably will be a little bit better in the regular season than they were last year, so I have the Grizzlies falling below. They lost Kyle Anderson. That was really their only major loss of the offseason. Ja's getting better. Jaren Jackson's getting better. Zaire Williams is going to be better in the starting lineup. Desmond Bane, they get a nice young core. Brought back Tyus Jones. I think the Clippers and Nuggets getting their guys back will elevate them a little bit above the Grizzlies. But I still think Memphis will be like a 50-win team. I think there's going to be a lot of 50-win teams in the West this year because of how bad the lower end of the West is going to be.
Not to mention they've got
Grizzlies.
Danny Green as well.
They do.
Right,
They
I
do have
discovered
Danny
that
Green.
like yesterday.
For now.
I
For
saw
now,
it
they
on
have
Twitter. I
Danny
was like,
Green.
oh, I didn't know he was on that team.
Yeah, it's the D'Anthony Melton trade.
Yep.
Sixers got Melton. But
Who could forget?
all right, who you got at 5?
I'm going to put Memphis. I think
Okay.
they haven't had anything happen to them where they're going to fall. I agree with you where it's just those other teams kind of creeping up there,
Mhm.
And you could envision it being like last season was an overachieve. How great are they going to be this season? But at the same time, well, it could have been an overachievement last season to be the second seed. Their team is so young that all these guys are going to continue to get better, right? So that's something to look
Yeah.
for. And Ja's a sleeper MVP candidate, depending on how well that team does.
Yeah.
Not if
He-
they finish 5th, but if
he's
they're
always
towards
gonna
the
be.
top again,
Mhm.
look out. He could definitely be an MVP candidate.
For sure. My 5 seed, I got the Suns.
Mm.
Fall from grace from the 1 seed, but I still think they'll be solid. Devin Booker's there, Chris Paul's there, Aiden's there. Aiden's not too happy. I don't know if you've seen those clips on Twitter. He's not looking too happy to be in Phoenix. The Jay Crowder situation's a bit weird. I think there's a potential that the Suns end up falling into the play-in this year. That's my hot take,
Oof.
but I can't really predict that for a team coming off of 60 wins. So I still got them at 5. A little bit of a fall from grace, but D-Book's an MVP candidate like he proved last year. Chris Paul's an all-star. Cam Johnson stepping into the starting lineup should be good. Mikal Bridges is a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Almost won it last year, but Marcus Smart said no. So yeah, Suns at 5. I'm happy with that. 6. Who you got?
Phoenix.
Okay.
See, now I get to just write off what you're saying. It's great. I feel like Phoenix and Brooklyn are almost kind of similar in the way they have a real big window for where they could land this season, right? They could get it together after winning 60 games last year and getting like dominated at home in Game 7 and just come back as a force. be in those top 2-3 seeds in the West again. But again, like you said, Ayton unhappy, Crowder shooting his way out of town. There's a lot of unknown with Phoenix. How old is Chris Paul? Not that his game doesn't really, uh, you know, age well. He's fine. He's been fine. He hasn't fallen off a cliff. How great are they going to be? Who knows? They could fall, like you said, but I think 5-6 is a very safe bet for them.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't think they're a play-in team, but I think they'll probably fall down the standings a bit.
Mm-hmm.
My 6, I got Minnesota. I got the Timberwolves at 6, sneaking into the final playoff spot. Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert. I'm higher on the pairing than I think most people are. Obviously, Cat's not the best defender in the world, but that's why you got Rudy. Obviously, Rudy's not the best offensive player in the world, but that's why you got Cat. I mean, that's the thought process. But even more so than that, I think this is the year Ant takes a jump. I think Anthony Edwards is going to be leading scorer on that team. I think he's going to be an all-star. I think he could be all NBA. I think Anthony Edwards really emerges as like the guy for Minnesota this season. And don't sleep on their depth. They still have D'Lo at the 1. He's solid. They still got Jaden McDaniels, who's young and improving. They signed Kyle Anderson. They brought in Bryn Forbes, have Torian Prince still. They signed Austin Rivers. Naz Reid still there to be the backup center. They got some solid depth in Minnesota. Yeah, I'm high on them. And Wendell Moore, their rookie, I like the Timberwolves. And the 6th seed is probably disappointing for some Minnesota fans who traded their entire future for this because they were the 7th seed last year. So you'd probably want them to improve a little more. But the West is loaded. So I'm going to stick with the Timberwolves at 6 for now.
Well, you got to prove it before you start getting put high up on these preseason predictions. So they're at 7 for me. I'm still hanging on your coattails. I think they definitely are going to be above the teams that will follow here just because they have put the chips on the table. They have paid the price for Gobert, who they may think is the missing piece. I don't know. I think he's going to be a good fit there, but I don't think he's like a, franchise altering player. We've talked about that plenty, but they have invested in depth. They've brought in players to help and make the team a better unit. Right?
Yeah.
So you're going to see the effects of that throughout the season. They absolutely could be a good regular season team for sure. They could be one of those teams that shocks you. And Anthony Edwards, I kind of agree, is looking like he may take a step up this year.
Yeah. 7, I got the Mavericks. And I'm a Mavericks fan, so to see them at 7, I mean, you have them at 2, and they're one of the teams. I think anybody in that top 7 teams that we just named could be anywhere from 1 to 7. I think that's probably my core 7 in the West. I think they're all super talented. I think they're all potentially great regular season teams. I don't know about the playoffs, but they've got the talent to be top teams in the West. I just think the loss of Jalen Brunson and without really replacing him at the guard position is tough. I like the Christian Wood addition, but I don't know if you heard this. They're probably going to bring him off the bench. That's the plan for him. It's a bit weird. I don't understand it. JaVale McGee, I like the signing. I just think this could be a season where we see Luka and the Mavs kind of get a little screwed with how much talent there is. I think moving forward, next offseason or the offseason after, the Mavericks will make a push to get another star next to Luka because they don't really have picks available to them right now because of the Porzingis deal still. And I still think there could be I think they could be a 50-win team. I think 7 teams in the West could win 50 games, which is crazy. That's insane. But like I said, I think any of them could be anywhere from the 1 seed to the 7 seed. So I just had to slot the Mavericks in at 7 right now because their offseason was probably the worst out of any of the teams that we've seen above them, really. So, I'll go with them at 7. But, yeah.
I get the Pelicans next.
Yeah.
I thought it was a tough choice between Minnesota and the Pelicans, but Minnesota's got more guys on there that you really can think to yourself, wow, they could break out. Like Edwards, Cat could have a really impactful season here if the team fits well. Obviously, Gobert has been Defensive Player of the Year plenty of times here.
Yep.
And also, D'Angelo Russell can score fine. Now, the Pelicans have some solid players too, right? McCollum, Ingram. Zion is looking like a fit person again. Good for him. Proved me wrong. And he's going to be a big X factor for them. They could be a really good team if he's able to be a beast. I mean,
yeah, they have the talent.
They've got some talent on that team, Jack.
Yeah, they're really good.
I'm looking around like, where are the weak teams? They're coming, but seriously, why are so many different teams competitive right now? It's insane. If Zion is
It's a
worth a
lot.
damn this season, it's going to be crazy to watch.
They're going to be really good. They're going to be really good. I think they're one of the most talented teams in the league if everything breaks right for them. But you haven't seen it yet. And you've seen it with almost all the teams above them, the Warriors, the Clippers, the Nuggets, the Mavericks, the Grizzlies, the Suns. The Timberwolves were a playoff team last year. You just haven't seen it with the Pelicans yet, which is why it's so tough to put them any higher. But you look at the potential starting lineup of CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Herb Jones, Zion Williamson, Valanciunas, with guys off the bench, Jose Alvarado, Trey Murphy off the bench. Like, they've got a ton of talent. Larry Nance they brought in that trade. Like, they're a stacked team. They could easily be, in my opinion, a top 4 team in the West, but I also have them at 8 for now, just because of how much talent is above them. And you don't really know what you're going to see from Zion yet because he hasn't played in a while. So that question mark is kind of holding you back. But I got them at 8. Who's your 9?
Especially when that's your top guy. That's supposed to be your guy. Now, Ingram has been an all-star for the Pelicans.
I think he'll be an all-star this year.
You're going to need Zion to push you over the hump to get in with these other teams that are all stacked, right?
Yeah.
And up next is a team that was stacked, and it's the Lakers. I don't know if that's where you're going to have them, but I think they do have talent still. Obviously, LeBron, Davis, if he can stay healthy. What are you going to see from those guys? It's such a big question mark. What's LeBron going to give you this season? He had 30 last year per game, but it didn't matter. Did not matter. They still have Westbrook. He was not a good fit last year. Davis, can he be healthy? He says he worked to be healthy. Who knows? If all those guys are healthy and all goes well, they could be a playoff team without the play-in. You don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, who knows what's going to happen with these other teams? That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
They have proved less than everybody else, which is funny because you can say they won a championship 2 years ago, but that team's very different.
Yep. I have the Blazers at 9 in my mind. I think you hear these rumblings. Dame is healthy for the first time in a few years because he was still dealing with like the remnants of his surgery from a few years ago. Anthony Simons had a breakout year last season. They made great offseason moves, brought in Jeremy Grant for cheap, got Gary Payton II from the Warriors on a solid deal. Nurkic is back, but my X factor for Portland is Josh Hart. I said this on Twitter, and I said this on my podcast, the Simone NBA show. I think he's going to be most improved player this year. I think he could put up like something crazy. Like I think 20 points per game might be a reach with Lillard and Simons and Grant, but I think he could put up like 17, 8, and like 5. Like I think he'll be solid. I think Josh Hart next to Dame is a better fit than CJ McCollum ever was. I think the defense of Josh Hart, I think the versatility, the rebounding, the playmaking, everything he brings to the table will complement Dame much better alongside Grant and Nurkic than anything CJ brought. And that's not a slight at CJ. He's perfect. And I think the Pelicans are a much better fit for him because he can be that lead ball handler. But really high on Josh Hart. I think they should start Gary Payton over Simons. Let Simons run the bench unit. But I think the Blazers could be better than even my prediction. But there's too much talent, and they were hurt last year, and they were real bad last year. But that plus Shaden Sharp, who high draft pick, a lot of potential. I got Blazers at 9.
Dude, this is like real messed up because I was gonna say the Kings, who went out and had a baller offseason.
Oh yeah,
but you've convinced me. I kind of just forgot about Dame. Isn't that bad?
Yep.
Like someone needs to slap me.
He's back.
But yeah, I think you make a good argument. I think Grant's a good addition for them too. He replaces what you saw from Covington, I guess, like when that was supposed to be the fit.
Probably better. Probably an
no. He's definitely better. Definitely better than Covington. And again, Josh Hart, a good player they got from New Orleans in that McCollum deal. They've got some things to look out for. Nurkic finally back. You saw him dunk on Poirier there in the FIBA tournaments over the summer. He looks like he's going to be a beast. And again, Dame making a lot of money, has a lot to prove. Why not? They might have to go above the Lakers, but I'll leave it.
Okay.
I said what I said. The problem is I mean, those poor Sacramento Kings, man.
No,
they're really fighting hard, and they. It's almost like you need a third conference.
Yeah, you do. I mean, the worst part is I have the Lakers at 10.
Yeah,
mine. So the Kings missing because, like you said, for all the same reasons, I think LeBron brings it back a little. I think Darvin Ham gets a little more out of Westbrook. I will say I like their offseason this year better than last year's, but they don't know how to find a middle ground. They either signed all old people or all young people. They don't really know how to do a healthy mix. So
And also, if you're
I like it,
signing
but
the majority of your team, it's not going to go well.
yeah, but
Like if you're
I
just
do
saying, "Hey,
like
everyone, come play," and they're like, "Okay, here we come." I mean, just look at
yeah.
the Nets last year. Look how great their depth was. It wasn't.
Yeah. I mean, I do like the Patrick Beverley edition. I thought that was solid. I don't like that they had to give up Stanley Johnson. But Thomas Bryant's on that team now. Damian Jones on that team now. Troy Brown Jr., Juan Toscano Anderson, Austin Reeves is going to step up. They have a solid team. I do question the fact that they're planning to use Patrick Beverley as a wing at 6'1". I don't necessarily think that's a great plan, but hey, it's talent, and that's something they didn't have last year was talent at that spot. So
Doesn't
they'll
the
take it.
Thomas
But
Bryant thing suck now more than ever?
yeah.
Because he was like ready to come here,
Mhm.
and now they could really use him. Celtics could really use
Yeah.
Thomas Bryant.
Well, he was never going to start here long
No,
term, and that's what the Lakers offered him. So you can't really blame the guy, but it's what it is. 11. I'm assuming you have the Kings,
it's
the
the
poor
Kings, man.
Sacramento Kings.
Poor guys, dude. They cannot catch a break.
No, they
Not
cannot.
a single active player has played in the playoffs where they have been in. I don't think. Is that what the stat? I know it's they definitely
Say that
haven't
again.
played against the Kings in the playoffs, but I don't think anyone's even been in the playoffs when the Kings were there
Who? What were you saying?
in the
Any player
league.
on the team? Oh,
Anyone in the
oh,
NBA?
no, I don't think so.
No, that's
I don't think
bad.
so. That's
The
horrible.
King.
Yeah,
I will be rooting for the Kings this year. Damn it.
I will.
They went out there and they tried their hardest over the offseason. They made good moves, and everybody else around them is just too good. I mean, just look at the top of the West, Jack. We went through it. You said all those teams can win 50 games, and not
Yeah.
all of them are even going to get a guaranteed playoff spot.
Nope.
Not to mention
No.
the Pelicans, who are a big flex team, too. They could also be
Yeah,
a
I'd probably
50-win
put them in
team,
that.
really.
I'd make it a top 8 instead of a top 7,
Yeah.
including New Orleans. Yeah,
I mean,
it's crazy.
poor guys. They really picked their spot wrong, the Kings.
They
They went
did.
in at the wrong time, now that you
They
think
should have
about it.
kept rebuilding for a couple more years. They should have
Yeah, I
traded
think
Fox.
so.
I think they should have traded Fox, built around Halliburton, move forward with that,
Oh, yeah,
rebuild for
isn't that
2 years.
brutal, man? They kicked
Yeah,
away Halliburton for nothing.
and
Sabonis.
he's good. Halliburton's really good.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
love
when that
Halliburton.
happened, everybody was saying it.
Yeah, I
Crazy
mean,
day.
I also got the Kings, and like you said, they had a
Mm,
baller offseason, to quote you exactly. Malik Monk was a phenomenal signing. They got Kevin Herter, who's a great addition. Drafting Keegan Murray, who looks like a stud. They have Harrison Barnes still. Fox and Sabonis obviously going to have a whole year to gel. Sean Holmes still there as a backup. Davion Mitchell. They've got a good team. I just don't think it's good enough. But I will say, all it takes is one injury or one slip up from any of the 10
mhm.
teams above them, and they're right in there. I think they're right in that mix. I think the top 11 in the West are all, I hesitate to say playoff caliber team, but they're definitely playing caliber teams at the very least. I'll top 11, and they're all going to be trying to win, which is something you don't see. But that being said, I think 12 through 15 are all really, really, really bad. I
How many
think they're all,
teams above them, really, though? Like we already mentioned, there's so much room for error
well,
from some of those
I'll
teams.
say exactly. I think the Suns have a lot of room for error. Not that they'll fall out of the playoffs, but they have room for error to fall into the play. And I think the Lakers obviously have room for
Mhm.
error. I think the Blazers do as well.
Pelicans.
Um, Pelicans have some room for error if Zion gets hurt, but I think they'll be a playoff team even without Zion. So I don't
Well, they
count them
were
too much.
last year.
I think the Timberwolves have some room for error too if that pairing doesn't work out. But yeah, outside of that, I think those three are really it. And the Nuggets and the Clippers obviously are there if injuries don't go their way again. But I think they'll be okay. So it's tough for the Kings. It's tough. It's tough sailing out there for Sacramento. 12. I actually switched 12 and 14 for my predictions on my podcast last night, but I have them correct. I have my new standings
Okay.
here. So who's your 12?
All right. Let's in my head go through the remaining teams you've
You want me
got.
to list off the remaining teams for you?
Well, no, because I'm not a moron. I know it's the
All right,
Spurs,
all right.
Rockets, Thunder. I'm struggling with the last team. This is really bad.
It's your old friend. He's leading them. Come on. Boston's old friend. He's the GM now. He's their
Oh,
head
Utah.
guy.
Jesus,
Yes.
Sam. Okay, well, here's the thing. You can take your pick. Out of those four teams, I think OKC could be the best. The problem is SGA hurt himself, and Chet obviously is out for the season. However, they still do have a lot of exciting prospects on the team, and if enough of
They
them
do.
make a jump, they can be the best out of the four. I think.
I agree. I had the Thunder originally at 14, but when I remember it, I mean, SGA probably won't play the whole season, but he'll play a little bit, and he's the best player on any of those teams, in my
Yep.
opinion. So Yeah, I moved the Thunder up to 12, even though they probably would like to lose for another year now that Chet's out. So I'll put them at 12 for now. Although I think in the next couple of years the Thunder are they're gonna be good. I think they'll start
Mhm.
being a play-in contender, maybe a playoff contender. But it's tough in the West. All right, I had the Thunder at 12 as well. Who's 13 for you?
Houston.
Okay,
I think Jalen Green and Jabari Smith are very exciting young players. The team around him is nothing special, of course, right? But again, by your logic, out of the remaining teams, those two guys are the best players, I think, out of
sure.
all of them, unless I'm
Yeah.
blatantly missing somebody.
I think Colin Sexton deserves to be in the mix at
Oh,
the
that's
very
right. I
least.
forgot. I forgot he's over there. That's bad. Bad for me. But still,
Yeah, no, that's fair. I had the Rockets originally at 12, but I swapped them in the Thunder, and I
okay.
do have the Jazz in the middle. I have the Jazz at 13 though. I think Sexton will have free reign. I think I said this here and I say it again. I think the Donovan Mitchell trade, the Cavs overpaid. I don't think Donovan Mitchell's that big of a jump over Colin Sexton. He's a better player. He's an all-star, but is he Lauri Markkanen, 3 first-round picks, 2 swaps, Ochai Agbaji better? I don't think so. They're both 6'1" guards who can't defend, and I know that's putting it way base level because everything Donovan Mitchell does and has done. But, anyways, I think Colin Sexton plus Lauri Markkanen in Utah. Plus, we don't really know how many of those veterans are going to be there. They have Kelly Olynyk, who's probably going to
Mhm.
play. Cody Zeller, they just signed. They don't have a good team, but if you're talking, will they be better than the Rockets and the Spurs? I'll take my bets. I think they'll be up there at 13.
Yeah,
Um,
they're next for
yeah,
me. I mean, the Spurs
yeah.
are horrible. The
Yeah,
Spurs are
I've
horrible,
got I've
horrible,
got
horrible.
Rockets at 14, Spurs at
Popovich
15,
is
just to
just showing up
spoil
to
it.
collect the paycheck. He said it.
He said that.
He said to the press, he said this team is not going to win anything.
He said, "Don't bet on them."
Don't bet on this team
That's
to win a
crazy.
championship. But he did have a nice, he wants everyone to get better so they can have
He's
a
funny,
long
yeah.
career. I mean, good on him. But for no other reason why, the Jazz will be above them.
Yes. Yes, I got you there. Yeah, I've got Rockets at 14, Spurs at 15, but I think Rockets could easily be the best of those 4 teams. I think any of the teams could be the best of
I
those 4
think
teams.
Houston has more motivation to win than anybody else. Not that any of those teams are going to sniff the playoffs just because of
Sure,
the juggernauts ahead of them and then the decent teams behind the juggernauts, right? Like
I agree.
we're like the poor Kings, like, dude, like ideally, like in a regular NBA where the teams aren't all stacked for whatever reason they all are right now, like
Mhm.
Houston could be a team you're looking at, like, oh, like, maybe they could like be an 8 seed.
Yeah.
Not now, obviously. Gonna reiterate that. Don't want
Mhm.
anybody getting the
The
wrong
only
idea.
reason, uh, the only reason I had them at 14 is because I do like Jabari Smith, but he's a rookie, and they did lose Christian Wood. They did
Mhm.
lose their
They did.
probably second best player. So that's what I'll roll with. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I got Rockets 14, Spurs at 15. I wrote them down here, so remind me so I can search this document. Um, yeah, do you want me to go over the West real quick before we move on?
Yeah, let's
So
go through.
1 seed, I had the Nuggets, you had the Warriors. 2, Clippers for me, Mavericks for you. 3 was Warriors, Clippers. I'm just gonna say Sam second in mine first because that's what I have it written here. 4 was Grizzlies, and then you had Nuggets. 5 was Suns, Grizzlies, Timberwolves, Suns, Mavericks, Timberwolves, Pelicans, Blazers, Lakers, Blazers. We agree they're in 9-10. And then after that, Kings, Thunder, Jazz, Rockets, Jazz, Spurs. Very similar. We kind of had them categorized in the same tiers at the very least. The biggest thing was the Mavericks
The
difference.
Mavericks.
And I'm a big Mavericks fan. You know that I picked them to beat the Suns last year. I'm on the record. I don't know. It'll be tough. I'll be rooting for them. I hope they're the 2 seed. I love Luca. I love the Mavs. I think they're cool. But
I'm trying to
there's
think
other.
out of all the teams there that we named, like which one am I not rooting for? Like obviously the Lakers, but like
I don't hate any of them. That's the
see,
thing.
I'm
There's
such a
not a lot
hater,
of
so I got to pick one. Like who do I don't know. I
Suns. Root
like
against the Suns. Fuck the Suns. Who cares about the
normally I
Suns?
would pick the Pelicans because I've been against Zion, but I think it's interesting that their team is actually decent
Mhm.
now, and it's a small market, so I don't want to root against them.
Root against the Suns because of what they did to Aiden. That was scummy.
Yeah, it's fair.
That's rude.
Hey, Phoenix. I don't know. I don't love
Yeah.
Chris Paul.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, all right, fine. Phoenix. Root against Phoenix. Lock it in.
All right. So Suns are the hater team. All right. Eastern Conference, Sam. Who's your 1?
Well, here's the problem. In a perfect world, had we done this 2 weeks ago, I would have said, well, Jack, it's the Celtics. But
Yes,
now,
sir.
I don't know. I don't think it's going to be the Celtics. They have too many things happening right now to where it could go haywire, or at least
Sure.
they could stumble out the gate. That's really the thing for me is they're
Yep.
not gonna, I don't think they're gonna get off to a great start. And that sucks. So it's gonna be Milwaukee. Milwaukee was the second best team in the conference last year. Whoever won that semifinal series, the game 7 in Boston, was going to the finals. It's a shame that they had to play 7 games against Miami after that because it was not that close. It was not. So it's going to be Milwaukee. They've been there before. They've won a title. The team's mostly the same. Giannis is a monster. You name it. The list goes on and on and on. That's a good team. It's a shame that the Celtics are good at the same time.
I agree. I also have the Bucks at my 1. Like you said, I think I would have had the Celtics a couple weeks ago if you'd asked me. But right now, I got Milwaukee. I think they've got the consistency. I think they'll be back. I like Joe Ingles' addition. They didn't do too much else, but they're a solid team. I'm hyped for them. I think they'll be good. They'll be good. Number 2, you got Boston.
Number
Or you
2
got
is the
someone else?
Celtics.
I agree. I have that as well.
I think team's nasty. Don't know how else to put it. The problem is Rob's hurt. Gallinari's hurt. Udoka was horny. That's the problem. You take all that out there, the 1 seed winning 70 games. But in today's world, the reality we live in, those things are all true. Rob's going to miss 8 to 12 weeks rather than 4 to 6, which is not what you wanted to see. And Horford's going to have to play extra minutes. There's a lot of room for error to where things could go off. It doesn't mean they're going to be horrible. It doesn't mean they're going to miss the playoffs. It means they might stumble out the gate. They might struggle like last year. It might be like last year. I think we all went through it enough last year where we shouldn't have to deal with it again, but we might have to. So I have to put them second out of bias. I couldn't put them first. The Milwaukee team's too good to disrespect like that with all the things that have just happened to the Celtics.
I agree. I got Boston as 2 as well. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown's enough to carry them through. Smart and Horford still there. Rob will be back eventually. Forget about the Brogdon addition a lot. A lot of people forget about that because of everything that's been going on. But I think Boston at 2 is safe, even if they do stumble a little bit.
Yeah.
3. Who's your 3?
Let me just make sure. I want to be careful with this.
Yeah, a lot of good teams. A lot of good teams.
My gut instinct is to say Philly.
Is that what you're going with?
But I want to say Brooklyn.
Okay, so who's your choice?
I'm going to say Philly.
Okay.
I think Embiid's got a chip on his shoulder after not winning MVP.
Mhm.
They have brought in some players. They had a decent offseason, brought in PJ Tucker, who knows what he's going to give him, but they brought him in. Harden took a pay cut. They have decent players in that team, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good team. They've been good. They've been in the mix. They've been waiting to try and win something. And they haven't.
I think it's the best Philly team we've seen since that Jimmy Butler stretch.
Yeah, I agree. Sucks because you really like to have them be bad because it's funny. But not real bad, just not good enough to be better than the Celtics, which I don't think they are still. But I think the Celtics might lose opening night, which won't be a very fun time.
No, that won't be fun. I also have Sixers at 3. Harden, Tyrese Maxey's due for another jump. He looked great last year. PJ Tucker addition was huge. They have an actual backup big man now in Montrezl Harrell. Tobias Harris is still there. He's not great, but the Anthony Melton trade was very underrated. Like you said, you forgot Danny Green was a Grizzly. D'Anthony Melton will be a huge help for them. Doc Rivers did say he wants to play PJ at the 3, though. So I question that a little bit. It's probably going to be a bit weird, but I mean, him and Tobias can play the 3 and the 4 regardless of what position you want to play him at. But yeah, that's fine. I've got Sixers as 3 as well, and I think Embiid will be as dominant as ever, obviously. All right, 4. Who's your 4?
Brooklyn. It's Brooklyn.
Okay.
Sorry, Miami. You're not going to get any respect. You just don't have the star power. Katie's still on the team, surprisingly enough. Good on him. Good on the Nets.
Yeah.
I will continue to say it. Good for them. Owner put the hammer down and said, no, we're not trading you for nothing. And Durant's back. Kyrie's still a lunatic. Simmons is a toss-up. I don't know if you listened to the Redick podcast with Simmons, but it was pretty good. Did you listen
I listened to some of it. I haven't listened to the whole thing yet.
Thought it was pretty good.
Fire. He's a cool guy. I don't hate Simmons.
I still root against him, but I sympathize with him a bit more after listening to it. Joe Harris will be back. They've got Patty Mills still. Seth Curry's going to be good again. Who the hell did they bring in? They brought in somebody.
Markieff Morris. TJ Warren.
Yeah, that's who it is. They've got some decent depth in Brooklyn. So
they do.
That can carry them to, at the very least, a decent regular season.
Yeah, if they play. I got Miami at my 4 just because I don't
Mm,
really know what's going to happen with the Nets.
fair.
I feel like the Heat usually get disrespected
They do. I
at the
said it.
start of the season. I know you did. They lost PJ Tucker, which is why I have them falling from 1 to 4. Again, I think they'll probably win a similar amount of games. I just think the Bucks, Celtics, and Sixers will be more consistent this year. But Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, Kyle Lowry looks in shape. They're good. They just didn't really do much this offseason. They got worse objectively because they lost a player, didn't bring anybody else in. They have Nikola Jovic, who maybe can step in as the power forward. I think Duncan Robinson will have a bounce back here, but I got him slipping from 1 to 4. And spoiler alert, I am assuming you put the Heat at 5, and if you don't, maybe I'm
I did.
jumping the gun.
I
Uh,
do. I didn't make a list or
but
anything. I'm just kind of going.
yeah, I got the Nets at 5, and the reason for that is because you don't really know what's going to happen. Like you said with the Suns, they
The
probably got the
window.
biggest gap, yeah,
Window's big.
in good or bad. But anyways, so you got
I'd
the Heat,
lean
Heat at 5.
towards good just because they're deep.
Yeah,
Deep.
sure.
Jesus Christ, Sam. Depth.
So you got the Heat at 5?
Yeah, Heat at 5. I mean, you can't put them all the way down. They're still decent. They still made the conference
Yeah.
finals. We're inches away from going to the finals, much to my horror. Imagine if that went in. Ugh.
That's crazy. I would have been rooting for them though against the
I wouldn't
Warriors.
have.
I know you like the Warriors, but I'm a
I would
Heat
have
guy. I
said,
like the
go
Heat.
ahead, Steph. Go ahead.
Sure. All right, yeah. So you want to just move to 6? We got
Number
Heat
6.
there.
Let's take my time here. Just make sure I
Yeah.
don't make a mistake.
Bunch of good teams left.
I lean Atlanta,
Okay.
but I'm trying to just make sure I'm not missing anything. You're gonna say Toronto. I know you are. You love them. No? Okay. Well, I say Atlanta.
Okay.
I'm interested to see how it works with Trae Young and Murray. Trae Young's a great passer. Murray's a pretty good player too. Obviously, he's been an all-star. They lose Herter, but Bogdanovich is good enough to me to make that not matter. Obviously, Murray will help
Sure.
that not matter too. John Collins is back. Capella's back. They'll still be
Did you
decent.
see that graphic of them? They asked, "What is your
Yeah.
goal this season, or what do you expect?" And everyone was like, "Championship," except for Capella, who said Eastern Conference Finals.
Well,
Expect
Capella
it.
realistic expectations.
Yeah,
He knows that
exactly.
the Boston Celtics are a wagon, and if they run into him, it's probably not going to go well.
Yeah, exactly. I have a feeling what I say next is going to make you change your prediction, because I got the Cavaliers at 6.
I'm not going to change it, but I knew I was forgetting somebody. Damn
Yeah,
it.
the Donovan Mitchell edition. Got Darius Garland at the 1, Jared
Heat
Allen
it.
at the center. Evan Mobley's going to take another huge jump, I think. Just re-signed Dean Wade, who could compete for a starting spot. Isaac Okoro, solid. They've got a good team, man. They're good. Darius Garland's only improving. Their core trio from last year is improving. Add Donovan Mitchell to that. That's a playoff team. I got him at 6. I think they could go to 7. Where, spoiler alert, I do have the Raptors, like the Raptors. But I got him at 6 because you got to respect that addition. Are you gonna put them at
Yeah, I
7?
have
I
them at
assume.
7 now.
Yeah.
They're right there. They
right.
have 3 guys coming into the season that were all-stars last season. It's a good team.
Mhm.
Good depth. Again, Mobley's going to take a jump, probably. He was good enough last season to.
Although they brought Luke Walton onto the coaching staff, so maybe that makes them lose.
Yeah, fair enough.
Hey,
I
he was
need something
good
to
as an
justify
assistant,
what I
though.
just did.
Good as an assistant, though. Yeah, I got the
You said
Raptors
you
at
have the
7.
Raptors, and I have
Like
them
I said,
I have them at 8. I'm not super impressed with them. I just don't think they are as good as the teams above. Doesn't mean they
Sure.
can't have a good enough regular season to get them out of the play-in or, jump Cleveland or Atlanta or both. But
yeah.
nobody on that team really impresses me. When the most exciting guy is Scotty Barnes, that doesn't mean good things for your veteran guys that were on the title team a couple years ago,
Well,
right?
I mean, you got an all-star coming off as an all-star season, Fred VanVleet, and you have an all-NBA guy. Pascal Siakam got 3rd team last year. I like them both, and I think Scotty Barnes is going to take that jump too. They got Chris Boucher still to man down the center. Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby still there. Signed Otto Porter Jr. for depth, which I thought was a very underrated signing of the offseason. And I like Nick Nurse, and I know you hate Nick Nurse, but he's one of the best
I
coaches
don't
in the league.
dispute he's a good coach. I just think he's a whiny prick.
Sure, that's fine. I like the Raptors. I think they could very well be a playoff team if the Nets or the Heat fumble or the Cavaliers don't gel right away. But because those 3 teams, I think, have a little bit more talent, I'll put the Raptors at 7. And since you said already you have the Raptors at 8, I'll say I have the Hawks at 8.
Okay.
I think they have
Fair
the
enough.
talent, like you said, to be a playoff team, but with the John Collins thing being so weird to me, how they put him in trade rumors and just kept him the whole time. I think Trey and DeJounte are going to need a year to gel anyways. I think DeAndre Hunter has a lot of potential to break out, but I just believe in the teams above them more. But any of these top 8 teams, I think, could be top 4 teams, like kind of like the West. I think they're all super talented. All right, 9. Who's your 9?
Let me just.
You're getting into the depths of the East now. I'll say that.
I'm getting dangerously close to a hot take, is what I'm doing.
I have a hot take coming up. I'll tell you that.
You know what? I'm gonna say it.
Oh no.
I got the Pistons, man. I like the Pistons.
At
I like
9?
the Pistons. I like them.
9?
I'm excited about the Pistons, man. They just brought in Bogdanovich from Utah, and they've got Cade, and Jaden Ivey's a good player.
Wow.
They were a real pain in the ass last year, man. I'm telling you, they got Sadiq Bey. That's a decent team. I mean,
now,
think about how much of a pain in the ass they were for the second half of the season last year.
They were. Is this because you can't think of other teams, or is this because
no? I thought about Washington and I thought about New York, and I just said, I'm gonna do a hot take.
Okay. Well, I think we might run into a Cavaliers situation because I got the Bulls at 9. You forget about Chicago.
I don't care. I did forget about them, but I don't care for them.
All right, that's fair. I think if Lonzo Ball was here, they could be fighting for a playoff spot.
I agree, but he's not.
Since he's not, I got them at 9 right now. The talent is there. I think DeRozan will probably have a worse season because he was so good last year. I think Vucevic is on the decline a little bit. I think LaVine will play better because he just got his max contract and he's a good player. And I know you don't love him, but he's a solid guy.
He's a bona fide winner. What can you say about the guy?
I like their offseason additions. They got Goran Dragic in there. They got Andre Drummond to be their backup center. I just think no Lonzo is going to be tough. They have the guards. They have Caruso and Dosunmu and Kobe White still to cover, but no Lonzo means I think they got them at 9 for now. So that's what I'll roll with.
Lonzo was the real key there last year. Once he went down and Caruso went down, they really struggled. I don't think I agree with you. I don't think DeRozan's going to be at that level. I mean, you had me saying he could be the MVP last year for a while at least.
Yeah,
that's not happening. They might not be worse than Detroit. That was a hot take, but I'm gonna keep it because I like the Pistons, and if you're betting, take the over on the Pistons.
I respect
don't know what it is. The Pistons pissed me off enough last year to where I am putting them above the Chicago Bulls. I'm putting them above the New York Knicks, who I still don't think are going to be any good, but above the Wizards, who are next. Well, no, the Bulls will be next for me, I guess. Spoiled.
Okay, so you got the Bulls at 10.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. This is my hot take. I got the Wizards at 10. I got Wizards at 10. I think, excuse me, I had a cough. Bradley Beal is the best player on any of the teams that are left. I think Kristaps Porzingis is going to be better now that he's playing with a slightly less ball dominant player as Luka. Not that Luka's bad. I just don't think that was a good fit. I think Porzingis could have a good season. I think they've got a quality team around those guys too. You look at Monte Morris coming in to be the starting point guard. I think he'll get a chance. Will Barton's a good tertiary scorer behind Beal and Porzingis. I think they've got 2 solid power forward options to develop. Rui Hachimura, I could see having a breakout season. I could also see Denny Avdia having a breakout season. I like both of those guys. And I think Daniel Gafford as the backup center or starting center if they want to run Porzingis at the 4, which I think could be smart in a league that runs a lot of double bigs. Gafford, I love. I think he's a good rim runner. I think he can be a good rim protector. I like him a lot. And then they have Delon Wright as the backup point guard. Corey Kispert, they have sneaky youthful depth there that I think could be solid. And I like it. Johnny Davis looks like a not great first round pick right now. He didn't have a great summer league, but he could turn it around. I think Beal and the Wizards, because they're going to be trying to win, and they were good last year before Beal went down. They were good. Remember, they were a playoff team. Montrezl Harrell's playing well, team. And I didn't even say Kuzma. I mean, he's not
people
great,
love Kuzma. People wanted him
great.
Here months ago, right? That was a discussion we were all having.
Wizards are a good team. I got them at 10.
Wizards are next for me for all the reasons you just said. I think Beal is by far the best player. He's been an all-star, been a monster scorer. You know, he decided to stay, so obviously they're going to be trying to put.
And you respect that. I know you.
I do respect it. I respect it. Respect the hell out of it. Porzingis, his name is at least something to keep your eyes on, right? He once was a force, or at least people said he was. I never was over the top high on Porzingis, but fine.
He was an all-star.
There
you go.
Gafford, was somebody that played well last year before. I think he got hurt against Celtics.
I think he did get hurt. I can't remember what it was, but I know he got hurt.
Yeah, he played well.
I got Pistons at 11 for all the reasons you said. I like them a lot. I like Kate
Pistons are going to be
Cunningham.
nasty. And if they don't get into any of the postseason stuff, they're going to be a real pain in everybody's ass. I love the Pistons this year.
Well, because the big knock on the Pistons was they got rid of Jeremy Grant and they didn't really replace him, but then they did. And I think they got somebody who's a better fit. He's not as ball dominant. I was listening to Trevor Lane on the Front Office podcast, which a podcast I enjoy with Keith Smith as well. Talk about how he's a good player, probably as good of a player as Jeremy Grant, but he's less ball dominant, which means Cunningham's going to get more touches. Ivy's going to get more touches. Bay's going to get more touches. He's going to be there, though, as a solid shooter and scorer for them to play off of. Jalen Duren's good. Isaiah Stewart, who made a run at LeBron last year, he's
good
fun.
on him.
Alec Burks and Nerlens Noel are there for solid veteran depth. They've got a good team. I like them a lot. Killian
How
Hayes.
great would Nerlens Noel be right now?
Oh, yeah. Hey, maybe they can convince the Pistons. Maybe throw a second. But no, yeah, I like the Pistons as well. Who's your 12?
Let's see. Who's left? You got the Knicks.
Yep.
Go ahead, Sam. You got it, brother. The Pacers, who are going to be 15.
Already spoiling that.
Oh, the Hornets are next for me.
Okay.
Hornets are next. Yeah. They've got more upside, I think, than the rest of the teams. I think LaMelo has potential to take a step up. It sucks that they lost Bridges, but they still have some decent players there. Hayward's still there. He's all right. Rozier's still there. They're not going to be a force or anything like that. Now, they did go out. No, they did not. They did not get a big guy.
No.
They were in talks for Miles Turner. They never did.
Yeah. They drafted Mark Williams, though, who's the Duke big man, who's good. I like Mark Williams a lot.
Yeah, he was a beast last year. I remember. I actually paid a little bit of attention to college basketball last year. Look at me.
Wow. Look at
Big
that.
brain Sam. But yeah, that all being said, I mean, all of that is like upside. Besides like Hayward, Hayward's probably going to be where he is.
Yeah.
But, Mark Williams could be someone that develops nicely for him, especially playing with somebody like LaMelo to set him
New
up
coach,
underneath.
though. New coach.
Yeah, they got rid of Perego. Tough.
Brought back Steve Clifford.
Who doesn't love Steve Clifford and his bald head?
I got the Knicks at 12.
Yeah,
I think
of course.
It's tough there. I assume you have them at 13. But
unless I think of this next team first. Oh, I know who it is. yeah, they will be.
Yeah. I think that the upside is there for New York to be a play-in team. I just don't think it'll happen. I think Jalen Brunson addition was good. I'm actually a bigger fan of it than most people. I just think Julius Randle, that situation is going to go down the toilet. I think the young guys are going to start getting pissed again this year if Tibbs doesn't play them. He already said he doesn't want to play the Randle Obi Toppin combination of the front court. That's going to be a mess. I think Obi Toppin has a chance to be better than Julius Randle. He dropped 40 piece last year, and the same game, Emmanuel quickly dropped a 30-point triple-double. And I don't think quickly will get the touches he deserves either. Quentin Grimes is great out there. I think they need to hand RJ Barrett the keys and get rid of Julius Randle. RJ Barrett's an all-star. I'm a big RJ Barrett guy. But right now, the way this team is currently set up to play and, constructed as a roster, I got them at 12. And I think it'll be a tough season for New York. You got them at 13?
Number 13 for me.
Yep.
We'll be pissing on their grave and their annoying entitled fans who
oh my God,
who threw a parade last year after winning on opening night. Bing bong. You're at 13.
Bing bong.
Your team
Was
still
just
sucks.
gonna say.
All your players hate it there. Your coach is a punk right now to them, even though I like Tibbs. They don't like Tibbs. I mean, who knows? Who knows what's going to go on? Not a lot of winning, that's for sure. Enjoy.
They got Fournier.
Enjoy ping pong.
They got Evan Fournier. I like the Isaiah Hart and signing too, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not a Knicks believer. I got Hornets at 13 for me.
Whatever would they have done? I mean, the Celtics. I can't believe it. They're afloat without Fournier. That was the cannonball into the side of the pirate ship. They're sinking the ship. That's what everyone said. They said, they took Fournier right off them. Enjoy the lottery, brother.
They stole Kemba. And I assume I have Hornets at 13. I just think the loss of Miles Bridges, it'll be a down year. And I think they should play the young guys. I think they'll either be bad enough where they have to play the young guys, or they'll just play the young guys and be bad because of it. So I'm not high on the Hornets this year. And then I assume we both have Magic than Pacers. That's 14, 15. Yeah.
Magic fans have more things to be excited about than the Pacers. The Pacers aren't even done gutting the team
Magic
yet.
are fun. Magic are fun. I think they have a chance to be a Pistons-esque team this year. I just believe in
Yeah.
Detroit a little bit more.
Oh, I love Detroit.
Detroit's
I'm rooting
fun.
for them. Big time rooting for the Pistons. Big time rooting for the Kings. The Hornets are like another team I feel compelled to root for just because I feel like they are in a similar spot to the Kings. Not that they went out and did a whole lot this offseason. I think they read the room a bit better
They
than
did
the Kings
nothing.
did.
They did nothing.
Yeah. But like
They
they
signed
still
Dennis
have
Smith
like
Jr.
promising parts of their team, and they were on the rise for a bit. They made the play-in, and then
Twice, 2 years in a row.
yeah, and then the other
They
team
got
said, "All right,
stomped
we're going to be nasty now."
2
And
years in a row.
they're going to be stuck being in the abyss.
Yeah, tough. I'm a big Pacers guy. I love Tyrese Halliburton. Maybe Neesmith will get some minutes, but yeah, it's tough for them. So
Besides him,
again,
yikes.
I'm gonna go down the standings. I'll say my team first, then Sam's. Mine is the Bucks. Sam had the Bucks. Celtics. Sixers. We're both consensus top 3. Then we got Heat, Nets, Heat, Cavaliers, Hawks, Raptors, Cavaliers, Hawks, Raptors. Then Bulls, Pistons, Wizards, Bulls, Pistons, Wizards. Then Knicks, Hornets, Knicks, Magic, Pacers. We got the same tiers, right? You can tell our tiers are Bucks, Celtics, Sixers in that top tier. Then we got Heat and the Nets in the next tier. Then we got Cavs, Raptors, Hawks in the next tier. Then we got Bulls, Wizards, Pistons, Knicks in that next tier. Then Hornets, Bulls, Wizards, Pistons, Knicks, Hornets are all in the same tier. And then Magic, Pacers, and then technically even the Hornets and the Knicks are in their own tier below the Bulls, Wizards, and Pistons. But yeah, that's the predictions. What do you think? How you liking the predictions this year?
Well, I'm disappointed that I forgot about the Bulls. I'm disappointed I forgot about the Cavs. However,
would you change it?
No. Well, I might change the Cavs. I'm not going to. The Bulls, I won't. I like that Pistons team. I'm excited for them.
They're fun. They're gonna be fun to watch.
Excited about that Pistons team, and
this is the most excited I've
from a guy that never cares about anything that doesn't involve.
I was gonna say, outside of the Warriors last year, this is the most excited I've seen you about a team other than the Celtics.
Yeah, it wasn't just the Celtics. They were painting everybody's ass. It wasn't like a one-off. That's the thing that I'm like stuck on. I'm like, that team was a pain in the ass for everybody, and they got better.
Yeah, they did. They're fun. They're a good team. But yeah, those are the predictions. Anything you would change if you could outside of the Cavs? You like your predictions?
I don't know. I might have put Dallas a bit lower.
Okay. Yeah, I might have put them a bit higher, honestly.
Don't care.
But nitpicking at that point. Anyways, that'll do it for us. I think that we covered everything we wanted to cover. But
you may be wondering, Sam, what are you going to do with the rest of your day now that you're done recording the podcast? And I would tell you, I'm going to go buy a lottery ticket. And you say, Sam, why are you going to go buy a lottery ticket? And I say, Jack and I got through a recording where I didn't have my computer lag.
This is true.
This is the first time we have recorded a show, at least over the summer, where I haven't had my internet crap itself.
It had a slight hitch there at like 40 minutes, and I was scared, but it went right through, powered through.
I didn't even notice.
Perfect.
I must have been locked in on some hot take.
Amazing. That was great.
So when I'm rich the next time we record after I hit the lottery today,
please let me know.
You'll know. You'll know why. Yes. You'll know, Sam, what inspired you to go out and buy a ticket. That'll be it.
There you go. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. We've been posting consistently on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, and YouTube Shorts.
The YouTube Shorts are doing well.
They are. We're going to keep posting, keep chugging along with those. This will be out Friday the 30th, and I'll be on a plane the night of the 30th. So hopefully I will get over my fear and be fine. But anyways, yeah, thank you guys for listening. And per usual, I'll throw it over to Sam.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening or watching. If you're watching, you see my brand new microphone. Look at this. Look at this, Sam buying a lottery ticket, buying a microphone. Look at that. Well, you're on YouTube and you're watching on Guy Boston, or how about them Celtics, the YouTube channel that has all those YouTube shorts. Be sure to watch those. Leave a like.
Yes, sir.
If you're not watching, then you missed out on the microphone. But you can follow us on whatever streaming service it is you're using. Just in case Jack doesn't tweet the pod, he has been tweeting them very consistently, tweeting out the shorts. I mean, you're getting all kinds of content if you're following at How About Them C's on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok, right? No problems there. And if you want even more out of us, you can follow Jack at Jack Simone NBA. He's doing all kinds of work at Heavy, getting ready for the season. You can follow me at Sam LaFrance NBA, and you can see some of the Houdini stuff that I've been doing, which I posted in a Facebook group, and people were very unkind.
Yeah, people on Facebook are mean.
They said Hardwood Houdini. I don't even remember what they said. They were not kind to me.
No. People on
Facebook clearly
did
not click my article, but go read them. Go read all the articles.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
That's our show for today, Bob.
Taco, come on.
Taco's having some fun here.
That is bogus.